Greetings, unsettled souls. Welcome to the correct views of semi-B Gangi during political commentary for the media speaks. I want to give a shout out to everyone who's been tuning in. I know I have not done as many shows as I used to do, and it's because currently I'm in a bit of a mess. I don't even have the internet at my house right now, so I'm doing the show at the public library, as you can see. It's the fact that the facts need to come out and that you guys tune in for it. Please donate to the show if you can. You can do so at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. Every penny that you give to me goes towards a better show. Again, it's not that I have a bad job. I have a really good job. It's just that I've been hit with a bit of a financial problem. And the show's got to start funding itself, people. That means you guys, if you like what I'm doing, are going to have to help me out in order for this to continue going. It's that simple. Otherwise, you're going to get shows as rarely as you have been. North Korean defector describes life in hell for Christians. Now, think about this as we go into Thanksgiving. It's something to be thankful for, even if things have been going as badly as they have for me. North Korean, yeah, that's it. North Korean Choi Kwon-inyak is one of the lucky ones. The 55-year-old managed to escape from the work camp where he was sent after being targeted and persecuted by the government simply for being a Christian. We couldn't raise our voice during a service. We couldn't sing out loud during a worship. That was hard, Choi told Fox News through a translator. Also, we had to hide so that other people could not see us. Despite having to hide his faith in plain sight while living in North Hamgyong province, Choi was still compelled to bring religion to others, and he started an underground church. There were about 9 people, he said, and I couldn't do mission work because we had to keep it a secret that we hadn't even had a church. That information had leaked, we could have faced the death penalty. And again, we know this because you can remember when Otto Warmbier was attacked for, basically they fed him what he had to say as part of his testimony. And what did North Korea immediately go after? They immediately went after his Christian faith. They immediately went after the church. They tried to say that the church was giving him copious amounts of money in order to say these things and to take the banner, which set up. But my point is that they went after his Christian faith because that is more than anything what they're against, because it proves that the state isn't God, and people like Kim Jong-un cannot have that. North Korea is officially an atheist state, except for a show church in Pyongyang that tourists are shown public worship is forbidden. The country is ranked the most oppressive place for Christians in the world and has an ignominious status for years. Choi's statements describing the oppression, as well as his report of imprisonment for owning a Bible and practicing faith, align with everything that we know about North Korea. Open Doors President David Curry told Fox News it's rated the worst place for prosecution of Christians. North Korea treats Christians horrendously and registers them as enemies of the state for their faith. There's about 300 Christians living, hiding their beliefs in North Korea, and in a nation where the ruling regime demands total control over the general public, anything that challenges the government's power is seen as a threat, including religion. Jeff King, president of the International Christian Concern, told Fox News as a result, the North Korean government does everything in its power to squash the spread of Christianity. To squash the spread. And we have only 1 Bible in the defector. North Hamgyong province is very old and very cold. In the winter, we would dig a big hole and store kimchi there. We sometimes had services there. In the summer, we had services in the mountains by the river. I never heard the term underground church till I got to the U.S. In 2008, he says the police caught him and arrested him. He was held in prison by the state security department, and he was interrogated about his faith while he was tortured. He said he kept denying it. I decided to escape because I thought that once they sent me to the other camp, they could eventually send me to the concentration camp or kill me, Choi recalled. I was traveling back and forth between China and North Korea, but they kept searching me, and I knew I could put my friends in danger, so I left. The North Korean Gulag system is so notorious for harsh conditions and brutal treatment of its prisoners that the whole world knows about it. Being sent to the monstrous camp within the system known as Camp 22, they faced harsh and lethal living conditions. Prisoners live in bunkhouses with 100 people per room and 30% show the markings of torture and beatings, tear gas, gouged eyes, and they are covered with scars. Unfortunately, it is inexplicably easy to wind up in one of these camps. While someone can be sent to these camps for openly evangelizing, someone can be easily sent there for simply being in contact with a religious person. Prisoners are forced to, listen to this, forced to stand in tanks filled with water up to their noses for 24 hours, stripped and hung upside down while being beaten and given the infamous pigeon torture, where both hands are chained to the wall at a height of 2 feet, forcing them to crouch for hours at a time. Now remember, these are people that have done absolutely nothing against Kim Jong-un. They simply believe in the truth of the Bible. They haven't done even anything against the dear leader, as they call him. Tiny rations of watery corn porridge leave inmates on the brink of starvation. And many hunt rats, snakes, frogs for protein. We've talked before about how they take bodies out of the ground and eat the worms that have infested them. Some even take the drastic measure of searching through animal dung for undigested seeds to eat. Beatings are handed out daily for offenses as simple as bowing down in respect the guards, but not doing so fast enough. Prisoners are used as practice targets during martial arts training, and guards routinely rape the women there. And this is life in North Korea. And you got to remember that there's a lot of people on the left that are saying that Donald Trump is promoting this, that Donald Trump has made it worse. You don't have to be a friend of Donald Trump. You don't have to support Donald Trump to be able to tell that that isn't true. That there has been an ongoing problem in North Korea that everyone has chosen to ignore. But now that they have their finger on the nuclear button, nobody can afford to ignore it anymore. That's what's happening. Guys, we got lots to get to today, so I'm going to keep on moving here. This is from Bloomberg. Americans are officially freaking out. Almost two-thirds.
Those flowers in the print. You look at the petals.
Almost 2/3 say this is the lowest point in U.S. history, and it's keeping a lot of them up at night. Well, let me tell you what. I'll tell you what might be keeping people up at night. How about the fact that we live in a world where there isn't any commitment anymore? About it. Marriage vows don't mean anything anymore. People take the vows, but they don't really mean anything when they say them. People say that they're going to do something, but they don't. We all know of 1 or 2 cases where this has happened in our lives, do we not? Well, this is a bigger problem. It's happening all over, and it's starting to destroy the very culture and structure of who we are. Basically, we've become a religion of apathy. Because for those lying awake at night worried about healthcare, the economy, and the overall feeling of divide between you and your neighbors, there's at least one source of comfort. Your neighbors might well be lying awake too. Almost 2/3 of Americans, 63%, report being stressed out about the future of the nation, according to the American Psychological Association's 11th Stress in America survey. It was conducted in August and released on Wednesday. This worry about the fate of the union tops long-standing stressors such as money, 62%, work, 61%, and a significantly larger portion of Democrats and Republicans feel that way. Well, this is more like a hit piece, because you can tell what they're getting at there. They're trying to say that because we didn't vote for the first female president, now all of us have to feel like we're in jeopardy because an evil white man is in charge. Ridiculous. Point is, people are worried because we know what's going on here. We know that our country has been so heavily outsourced that we may never get the jobs back, even with Trump here, though he's trying very hard. And we know that the very fabric of what makes us Americans, the very epitome of what it is that we are as a people, is being chipped away when they're taking down our monuments, ripping down our crosses, telling us what to think, telling us what to say, condemning us if we vote in a way that doesn't line up to what it is that the power structure thinks that it should. This is all playing a role, and it's starting to get into the heads of people, and it's starting to create a major problem in the moral fabric, the soul, the being of the country, if you were. And it doesn't take just Bloomberg to point that out, I don't think. Moving on. World's first human head transplant, a success, controversial science claims. Scientists, I should say. Well, this is important because they said he couldn't do it. They said that this scientist was going to kill the person that he was about to do the transplant on. They said that it was inhumane, that he was experimenting and giving false hopes. He was compared to the angel of death, Dr. Mengele, the most, arguably the most evil doctor of Nazi Germany. Well, guess what? It worked. Exactly what he said was going to happen. And somebody has a new head on life, if you will. The world's first human head transplant was allegedly been performed on a corpse in an 18-hour operation which successfully connected the spine, nerves, and blood vessels of two people. The operation was carried out by a team led by Dr. Jiapeng Ren of Harvard Medical University in China, who last year successfully grafted a head onto the human body of a monkey. Italian professional Sergio Carnevio, director of Turin Advanced Neuromodulation Group, has been working with the team, said they would immediately move onto a living human who was paralyzed from the neck down. And do you want to know what? It worked. They said that it wouldn't work, and it did work. And now somebody has an entirely new lease on life because this happened. And we hear horror stories when robotics are created, because we know that DARPA and places like that plan on using these robots to somehow police us or control us or to gain the upper hand over us, to be emissaries of the New World Order and the control structure, if you will. Well, this is good to see a head transplant actually happen and save the life of somebody and actually work towards something other than our own destruction. Work towards something other than new ways for us to kill ourselves and maim ourselves and find ways to bring each other down. They said it couldn't be done. Clearly, it did happen. So maybe that should be a lesson to all of us. How many of us have had very important things in our life, and we said, "Oh, I just can't do it anymore." Such a cop-out. What you do is you have to move forward for that which is important enough to be moved forward on. Thankfully, one doctor did that. 3 more to get to, guys. Listen to this. When you die, you know you're dead. Scientists discover the mind still works after the body shows no sign of life, and reveals that people have heard their own death announced by medics. Now, we've known this for a long time, but it's now been proven. Not that it hasn't been before, but now to the level where science is taking it seriously, thankfully. Some report having seen the light at the end of the tunnel, while others claim to have floated above their body, watching as medics save their lives. But the reality of the near-death experiences has always been debated. Now scientists have discovered that a person's consciousness continues to work after the body has stopped showing signs of life, meaning they have awareness of their own death. Now think about that. After someone dies, they are well aware that they have died. And this has now been scientifically proven. Why is this not on top of every news headline from here to Budapest? I'll tell you why. Because you're taught to believe you're nothing. You're a worm. You came up from a fish. You're nothing because you're not a big rock star or because you're not leading the UN. They don't want you to understand that there is, in fact, a creator here at play. They don't want you to know that the body weighs a few grams less after death, which some people think is the soul leaving the body. Well, we now have proof of these things which cannot be hidden any longer. Scientists have discovered that a person's consciousness continues to work after the body has stopped showing any signs of life. And there is evidence to suggest that someone who has died may even hear their own death being announced by medics. The plot line of the Hollywood remake of the 1990s cult horror Flatliner starring Ellen Page. In the movie, a group of young doctors embark on a dangerous experiment by taking turns to chemically induce their heart to stop and flatline to find out exactly what happens after death. While a real-life team in New York City Langone School of Medicine investigated the very same question through twin studies in Europe and the US of people who have suffered cardiac arrest and come back to life. And friends, it says it's the largest study of its kind. Study author Dr. Sam Planoia told Live Science that they'll describe watching doctors and nurses working, and they'll describe having the awareness of full conversations, of visual things that are going on that would otherwise not be known to them. He said their recollections were then verified by the medical and nursing staff who reported their patients, who were technically dead, could remember the details of what we were saying. Medically speaking, doctors define death based on when the heart no longer beats, which then immediately cuts off blood supply to the brain. And now we're finding out that people who have suffered this know exactly what it is that has happened to them. They are well aware that they're dead. Medically, technically, that's how you get to death. It's all based on the moment when the heart stops, explained Dr. Sam Planoia. Once that happens, blood no longer circulates to the brain, which means the brain function halts almost immediately. You lose all of your brainstem reflexes, your gag reflexes, your pupil reflex, all that is gone. The brain's cerebral cortex, which is responsible for thinking and processing information from the five senses, also instantly flatlined, says Parnia. This means that within 2 to 20 seconds, no brain waves will be detected on the electronic monitor. Guess what? None of that matters because people that are dying are well aware that they are dead. And they're coming back, and it has now been scientifically proven that those who have died know that they have died when they have passed on, which I imagine would probably be pretty terrifying at first. But I think as we head into Thanksgiving, it's something to think about. Because let's face it, I'll give my little Thanksgiving rant here. A lot of us have not had a good year. And there's not really a lot for us to be very thankful. However, we do have our health, we do have our life, we do have something in our world that we can be happy for, even if it's just a place to stay at a friend's house for the night. Let us remember that when life is taken away, let us be thankful for the fact that there's something more to look forward to. Listen to this, guys. 2 more stories to get to. I thought this is short. I thought it was too interesting not to get to. Winter Park, a Florida couple got an extra treat on Halloween at baby Frankenstein. Make that Oscar Gary Frankenstein, who made his entrance into the world 4 days late and after 14 hours of labor on Tuesday at Winter Park Memorial Hospital. Parents Kyle and Jessica Frankenstein tell news outlets that baby Frankenstein weighed in at 6 pounds, 9 ounces, and it was 20 inches long. The baby's grandmother, Jennifer Frankenstein, tells the WKMG that the family is super excited. She said Oscar is the first grandchild of Frankenstein's family, first born on Halloween, although she does have a 13-year-old daughter who shares the same birthday as Frankenstein author Mary Shelley, excuse me. Winter Park is in Orlando, Florida, in the central part of the country. Now, here's what's interesting. And for those of you that are in Stark County, or those of you that like to go searching cemeteries and whatnot, there is a Frankenstein in the Monument Park Cemetery located beside Timken Mercy Hospital. And if you haven't seen it, it's worth taking a look at. It is, in fact, exactly what it sounds like, a great, big, large Frankenstein headstone that you can see when you go to the cemetery. Many people tend to get pictures by it, so you should as well. If you're in Stark County, Lord knows me and my old friend Jordan used to. All right, friends, and that brings us to what you know has to be coming. Oh, yes, the Dumdy of the day. Guys, the dunce cap has been a little bit put back because I haven't had Christelle to make the dunce caps. I'm going to end up doing both of them in December, both November and December's dunce cap. That's the only way I'm going to be able to get it done. And as you can tell by the You Are an Idiot music, we do have the dunce cap of the month, and the Dumdy of the day here, Season of the Witch, going out to all the witches who are making life even worse for everyone. Now, this might be politically incorrect to say, and I certainly don't think we need to go burning witches at the stake or banning anybody's religion. But I am going to say this: witchcraft makes a country weaker. It is mostly an excuse for people who want to feel like they're doing something without having to give anything of themselves to the religion. They just buy some herbs and chant a few things, and they believe a few Harry Potter novels, and suddenly they're a witch. This is hurting the fabric of the country, and I'm against it. I'll be open, but it's Dumdy of the day. On Wednesday evening last week, I sat in a class called Witchcraft 101, Curses, Hexes, and Jinxes at Catlin, a fashionable occult boutique in Brunswick, Brooklyn. More than a dozen people, most of them young women, sat in folding chairs in the store's black-walled event space. The instructor of Catlin's co-owners, Dakota Burkal, a charismatic, foul-mouthed 28-year-old former MAC makeup artist, in flowing black and a beard-long lavender nails. If you're not ready to admit that the universe is chaos, I'm not sure how far you're going to go. Burkal said the class, describing witchcraft was an easy way to exercise power in the world without transcendent moral rules. Again, it's all about being able to do whatever you want without any morality or having to answer to anybody at all. This witchcraft that they're practicing is nothing but a continuation of the hip-hop culture. The me first, gonna get mine and anything, yo-yo BS that we've heard forever. It's also about hating the religion of Donald Trump. So if you don't want to be a Christian and you don't like Donald Trump, then let's be witches. That's what this is about, friends. It's not about a religion or any kind of belief system whatsoever. I suspect that this assumption of chaos, this sense of institutions have failed and no one is in charge, helps explain the well-documented resurgence of occultism among millennials. Attempts at spellcasting are obviously not unique to today's young people. No, but we know what the driving force of it is. Burkell says, listen to this. If the powers that be established structures are leaving you or by the wayside, and there is this thing which essentially works in the back door or a way to manipulate the circumstances, wouldn't you try it? In other words, this is all about evil Whitey is holding us down, so why don't we go ahead and worship the devil and become witches so that we can change it? Let me tell you what, there is no back door. And that's why you're getting the dumb deal today. Do you know what the back door is? The back door is doing what the hell I'm doing. The back door is going to the library, staying after you're off work, just to make videos so that 40 or 50 people might watch 2 or 3 minutes of it and hopefully learn something that actually freaking matters during the time that you were talking, knowing that most people won't. If you really want a backdoor to defeat the power structure that is hurting all of us, then you would do something like I'm doing. You would hit share. You would come up with something a whole lot more intelligent than witchcraft. And that's all I've got to say on the matter. And if you agree and if you're still listening, let me know you heard a word of the day. The word of the day is Thanksgiving. Put it in the comment line. If you're the first to do it, I'll make sure that you get something free. You can donate to me if you'd like at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. Every penny that you give to me through PayPal at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com goes towards a better show. Good night, friends. Thank you for listening, and God bless.